Okay, mic check, mic check, mic check. You should be able to hear, see Mr. Blue here. TradePhantoms.com and go through some morning prep, trade the open. Kind of a busy day today, somewhat. Today's date is just really quick here, Thursday, 29th of May, 2025. Tomorrow, last day of kind of a trading month, right? And so we got a couple more days, so make sure you're updating your monthly timeframes, all that kind of good stuff. All right. Speaking of that monthly time frame, I'll just do this just real quick. I see some folks, just on YouTube, etc. Welcome. Top time, multiple time frame analysis approach, right? Demand supply, monthly, weekly, daily time frame. Kind of have color codes for those associated time frames. Orange being for the monthly, yellow being for the weekly, daily being for the blue. I always just bring this up every day. Just consistency, right? Bullish candlesticks, location being most important, super important there. Bearish candlesticks, a bunch of fancy names, but location of these candlesticks going to be most important. Okay, and then we get the liquidity map right here, which is godsend if you know how to put it all together. All right, we did have news. We did have news today. Just happened a little while ago, not too long ago. Today's obviously Thursday, right? And so we had a prelim GDP, unemployment, GDP price index, pending home sales. All that kind of came out already. Other than pending home sales. That's at 10 a.m. Eastern, so that is 30 minutes after the open. So that could potentially move markets a little bit there. It's not super extreme, but it's something that you want to put on your radar for this morning. However, GDP and unemployment and price index GDP has come out. Some things came out okay, some things came out not okay. I guess unemployment rates, unemployment claims, I should say, came in a little bit more harder than expected, up 10. But GDP is doing somewhat okay, and there's no change right there either on that there. So as always, going to see how the markets react and respond. So there's that, and can't downplay that at all. However, I will say another, of course, if you kind of know and you're in this industry, trading and investing, we had NVIDIA earnings last night. That's the big one, right? NVIDIA. So we kind of did a whole bonus session yesterday regarding this. In regard to NVIDIA, I had to kind of go the other way with it just because I got so much bullish exposure on some things. So I just kind of bought some protective puts just like personally for myself. And those on the wrong side right now. I got something for like $2, but I also put on an iron condor as well to reduce some exposure and things like that. So NVIDIA's we'll get to the charts in NVIDIA. Doing okay. It's still demand for China worries, all that kind of stuff, right? But they're adapting, right? Good companies adapt, and they're moving over into different markets, and there's still a very good demand for infrastructure for AI, right? So looking like they're doing okay, right? They're doing okay at least right now. Because the big concern was how is NVIDIA going to be doing if China's not as involved anymore, right? So to kind of put that to sleep just a little bit, at least for this quarter. All right, we did have CRM, Salesforce come out last night, ELF. As well, you can maybe take a peek at those in addition to everything else. But real quick, while we're just speaking about NVIDIA, I'll just go to TradingView real quick. I got the weekly time frame here on the left, and here's daily time frame on the right. Now, if you're probably looking at this chart for the first time, you're probably like, what is going on here? This is all the work that we did yesterday on this. Kind of covered a lot of things in NVIDIA yesterday. So kind of went both ways with it to give some insight of however folks want to potentially take the NVIDIA play. Okay, so I know it's hard to see. I don't want to delete too much of these notes here. I kind of want to keep these here just for reference point. Okay, but we mapped out some bought calls. Okay, if you got those, we mapped out some bought puts if you wanted to grab those. And then we have this big red box here, and then we have this big blue box down here. This was called an iron condor, and so I do have this on, so that's going to be working out pretty well. Okay, but like I said, I own shares on this, right? Disclaimer, right? So I just kind of went and bought some protective puts in the event to protect myself on the downside there. And obviously we're gapping up. Okay, so I'm on the wrong side of those puts, but the shares are gapping up pretty nice, right? So the video closed yesterday at 134, and we were trading 142-ish pre-market quote. So up a good 7.5%, give or take. And we are gapping up into some levels, level of supply. So we want to put that on the radar. Of course, this chart is one of the most unorganized on my whole watch list here. So unfortunately, but we do have this February high that I would make a note of here. Where's this price? You might want to write this down. 143.44. Okay, so we could have a gap up, and a couple things. Earnings are crazy still sometimes, right? Where you have a gap up, there can be a gap up and crap, where it just gaps up and just fades lower all day. Okay, you could have a gap up and of course continue higher, right? So if that does gap up and continue higher, we have this that level, that March high, that could provide some liquidity. And if long, I would suggest to maybe TP, take profit on some. All right, so I don't usually start off this way, but it's NVIDIA earnings, and that's kind of pulling the markets, right? And it's still a big stock, right? Top three, right? First, second place, always kind of battling first, second, third place between Apple and Microsoft. Anyways, I will start off into futures. Hey, good morning, blessing, Joe Frank. America runs on Duncan, but the economy runs on NVIDIA, holding everything up. This thing took Broadcom. Man, you could have just got long Broadcom and chill. AVGO, relative strength, major gap up on this too. Close to all-time highs, kind of nuts. I will go and start here for kind of a bit more formally. What do I mean by that? We'll start off with futures, yeah? Okay, so get the S&P futures upper left, NASDAQ futures upper right, Dow Jones bottom left, Russell 2000 bottom right. Pop this open and maximize this a bit here so we could see. And, starting out the week, right? A nice little bullish move to kind of kick off this shortened holiday week, right? Yesterday it was kind of yesterday we slightly gapped up on SPYs. We had this level of supply up here that's been sitting there for a little while now at the 59.50 handle. And you'll see that, a very obvious level. It worked out beautiful yesterday. It just provided some supply in the market. So, yesterday, like the SPYs, it happens very quick. Like it just gapped up real quick, came up into, the level of supply, and then, just faded and grinded lower off for the, kind of the remainder of the day just yesterday. But we were still mentioning how this is still inside bar, okay, inside of this, right? So we're kind of still holding up that upper third. We did have this 58 S&P futures, 58.98 level here, with another one even down here, 58.70. And yesterday, came down beautifully into this level here too. I picked up some SPY calls. My entry was not so great. I'll talk a bit about that, but we'll see. However, now here's today, right? And we did make a new high, right? So off the back of like NVIDIA kind of pumping these things up here, we finally kind of broke that level that was used yesterday as some supply. We kind of broke that. Okay, and we got up into this 6,000 handle that I was talking about here. There's a drop-based drop right in there on the S&P futures that we were kind of mentioning here, which would be the quote-unquote next level up. Okay, so futures levels are just working out beautifully. We just had a little moment yesterday in the live room yesterday, just taking a moment, like look at this chart, man. Like it's just demand supply. Going through nice and smooth, right, between levels and levels, right. So we had this 6,000 level. Right, 6,015 was the upper end of that, right? G-trap short, and so it wasn't kind of G-trap short anymore because it happened to hit overnight. But that's what the markets are kind of peeling back off of, at least for right now. So a decent move off of that, right? We'll see. We're already mean reverting here. So now this candle's not closed yet, but that is a upper wick here. So we have to put that into perspective here. When I get over to the SPYs and the SPX, I'll mention the level that could potentially need to be breaking for the upside if we're going to continue higher or if we're going to hold. Okay, so put a note on that. Right, today's close will be fairly interesting to see what this candle looks like. Okay, so we could now, because we came up to that level and 6,000 handle, if you will, and we just touched it and dipped back down. We could still reference this, right? There's going to be a Globex high. This is going to be the Globex high, 6,008. Okay, so I think I had mentioned about a. If I kind of zoom, I guess I could just do it in the SPYs because the chart might be a little bit more cleaner anyways. But we could still use the 6,000 handle a bit above there, 6,015 as a potential liquidity sweep in the event that we do get back up here. Okay, and I got the 60.32 level. I think was it 60.35 if I'm rounding, if I remember correctly on my other account. Okay, in the event that we do make a new high up in here. Okay, and we have, I'll drop down a small time frame in a moment, but we have yesterday's low being right there. We already had that level kind of dip, right? And I have another 58.70 level right down here as well. All right, 20 period moving average down over here, kind of low range for this week. This is this week's low, okay? This week's low here. So you could put a reference on this too. Call it 58.20. 22 handle. All right, low range. Well, NASDAQ, I'll do it pretty quicker, if I'm saying that right. All right, next level up here was 21,820. NASDAQ putting a high 21,858. All right, so NASDAQ's a bit stronger, just off the back of this tech. Right, Monday putting a nice bar. We got some levels, right? We were talking about this level here, 2130 lower. That already kind of tagged that day, right? We got 21,250, got 21,190. Okay, so I'll drop down to a small time frame, and there's a ton of tickers, right? You can see folks in here, AMD, CAVNA. So let's push forward here. Because we got 30 minutes, sub 30 minutes before the open. So I'll do the S&P on a 60, NASDAQ on a 60-minute time frame, futures, and then we'll go over right to tickers in the VIX. SPYs and Qs got monthly here, weekly here, daily here, monthly, weekly, daily. And I got the 60-minute time frame here, 30-minute time frame here, all right, 5-minute time frame here, 2-minute here, just to give you the lay of the land for new folks. They're just popping in. All right, so blah, blah, blah. We already talked about this, right? The 6,000 level that's been on the dock for a little while now, right? Came right in there. So, last night, boom, shot up, right? Came into supply, 6,000 handle, right? And we dropped down off of that, right? So, this is what we talked about before. Yesterday, we had this 58.98, came right down, smack into there. This is where I should have got more long calls on these SPYs. My entry on SPYs is kind of like late, like a little bit up here, so we'll see. But, if we, Globex low, right? This was yesterday's Globex trap, worked out beautiful. That was prior day Globex high, low, Globex high, and we went from a bear trap to a bull trap. And beautiful, right? So here's Globex low. That was yesterday. Let's see what today offers. Update, right? Globex high, all the way up here. So for Globex trap, we'd have to get all the way back up here, up above that 6,008, which is the Globex high for a G trap short, or kind of another dip into 6,000, or maybe right above the 6,008, maybe 615. Right, ish, could be a little bit of a liquidity sweep there. That would be a G-trap short. Okay, if I look down and left, we can still reference this. This is yesterday's low. All right, yesterday's low. So you still want to put some emphasis on that. All right, and we get to 58.70 down here as well, which kind of already got tagged right there. We had that mapped out the day prior as well. So we got some levels here. If I do drop down to say a 5-minute time frame, if I look right below that Globex low. This could be a little sneaky play right here too, where we have this massive rally right down, late last night or early evening. So this comes in at 59, call it 25 handle ish. This could be a bit more aggressive, but it is below the Globex low, a demand level below Globex low. All right, we shot up from here, right? Moonshot. So this could be a little play here. G-trap long. All right. All right, 25 to maybe 15 handle, give or take. Nice little zone there. All right. So that's good for sneaky G-trap long. NASDAQ dropped down to 1 hour time frame. All right. Just beautiful, level supply, beautiful came in yesterday, right? That's when we opened up yesterday. So, markets needed to kind of fall down a little bit, came beautifully down into this level here. Just demand supply doing its thing here, right? Anyways, let me take Globex high. here. Looks low. Look at that G trap. Look at these G traps yesterday. Ooh, doink, doink, doink. Okay. So yeah, I mean, we could still reference this area down in here. Just dipped in there real quick from the retest area right in here. We had that mapped out and just skyrocketed off of that. All right, and there could be a little bit of a flip zone here, right? So remember, I don't go too crazy here because folks, we got things going on here today, right? So supply, right? So this could be a flip zone on the other side, right? Just like I did over here, right? Right, supply, supply, supply. I finally broke it and retested it on the other side. Okay, great, what have you. All right, and then this is supply from yesterday that got tagged, right? Drop down, and so this whole area in here could be a bit of what's called a flip area zone here, retest area. All right, below Globex low, he's qualified. Let's see if we can map out an area of the demand down in here, and voila. Because that's all demand supply is. So supply, supply, supply. Rally up, base, base, base. One little last fight for the supply. Right, sellers, sellers, sellers. Buyers beat it. Right, beat it up. So that comes up to the upside. So we got 50. Was it 21,535 ish down in here on the Nasdaq? Okay. Could be a little sneaky Globex trap long. Just move these to the left. I want to keep the lines there. So you can reference previous supply. Now we're going to move on. We got 25 minutes before open. All right, little sneaky level right there for Nasdaq. All right, we can still touch. There's another level right in here. I'm gonna move on, but put some reference on this too. 21, 21,385 ish, and then 340 yesterday's low. Swipe retest. All right, so we'll see. All right, futures giving back some gain over here, but it needed, it's almost better. For example, yesterday we were already opening up in supply, and so markets kind of like faked and grinded lower and then swiped and sifted out more demand. Right now today we've already ripped up, cleared some supply, and we already are opening up in a mean revert. Okay, on what's called a mean reversion already. All right, so of course we'll be here trading the open with you folks in here, and we'll see. We get a couple doji bars here. If we get a positive COG close above here, that could be something. I'd rather it be above VWAP here, but we moved so fast up and then we dropped down pretty quickly too, as well, just in one night. VWAP's going to be hanging up here a little bit more. All right, so we'll put, of course, SPYs, Qs, S&Ps. Always watching those, right? Those are my faves. We'll do a couple of tickers just with y'all real quick, just because I see the questions kind of in chat here. S&P 5915 aligns with SPX 5900. Let me just take a quick peek at that real quick. Show me your ODs, options depth. So much to cover in just 30, 40 minutes-ish, 15. So 15 handle right here on S&Ps. Should be that kind of level from yesterday. Lines up with SPX 5900. So I got weekly here on the left. I got daily on the right. And let me just check OD real quick here. Options depth. Right, close here. If we're going to sustain this level here, gap up, still, a little bit of a pain gap here. We'll see if we can continue, but there's some supply, of course, up here. Let me see here. So up 0.83%, give or take. So SPX give or take, open, yeah, maybe around the 40 handle, right? 59, 40, 35, give or take, okay, 5, 10 points off a little bit, that's fine. So 59, 40 is the emphasis here. And so if I zoom in, let's see, if I zoom in, 59.40. We are kind of gapping up. If we are kind of gapping up in what's called a negative GEX kind of regime here. So there's one little peak right here, 59.50. So if we can potentially get above, we'll see how this opens up. But we actually have some negative GEX above. And we actually have 5,900, a positive gamma node, right there below. Yeah, I think in their new subscription, their new this options app 2.0. I think one of the things that you can tie an API into it. You can tie an API into it. So yeah, man, we get Super Dave on that. He's somewhat of like a coder. But yeah, totally agree. Cal Capone, yeah, weekly supply on AVGO. It's be careful with that because it's been relative strength. I've been telling a lot of people be careful to not. I would suggest not to short AVGO. It's literally one of the strongest Mag 7 stocks on the planet right now. So I would we're a couple of percentage points off the all-time high. So just be careful with that, right? I mean, no, I'm not going to try to talk you out of a trade if that's your thesis. Go for it. Understand your risks, but typically all-time highs can be tricky sometimes because they could just quickly just pump up a quick little new high. Now there's going to be some exit distribution up here. Okay, exit distribution. Okay, so yeah, I mean, you can play a little bit of a mean revert. All right, but I would do what's called the front side entry. Okay, and you almost want to have it come into a higher high, have a new high, and we have I own shares of Broadcom in my own personal account, and even my grandma's account that I've been managing for many years now. So I'm going to be starting to peel out like something similar to kind of like Meta when I was just like mentioning to the team, TP, right? This was like all-time highs, right? This didn't even have supply on the left, but just all-time highs, TP some. So you might be able to get some exit distribution on AVGO. All right, but just know that you're trying to catch a topping knife, if that makes sense, right? You ever heard the phrase like catch a bottom knife? You're trying to catch a topping knife, and as long as you're okay with the risk and understand, right? Because I wouldn't want to put my stop loss right above the all-time high because I could easily just be gunned for a liquidity sweep, knock you out real quick, doing exit distribution, and then you get the mean revert. All right, if that makes sense. AMD. AMD off the back of the video. This is a nice little what is it called? Mortgage gap. So we'll see if we get continuation here on that. All right. So basically, NVIDIA is pulling up semiconductors at the moment, right? One thing that I want to have us map out and is something super important to take a look at, especially this morning, is that okay, markets are up. NVIDIA had a good earnings reaction. But that said, look at the VIX. Now VIX, based on yesterday, is down. Okay, VIX is down, but we got down on VIX, and so far this VIX is holding a green body up. Okay, so when VIX up, market down. When VIX down, market up. Okay, so one of the things that's given me a little bit of a flash warning with this rally up is that the VIX is overnight as the markets were rallying. Okay, VIX was rallying too. All right, so that's giving me a little bit of I don't want to go crazy and over exaggerate, but it's giving us a little bit of a slight little red flag here. Okay, so if VIX does continue higher and sustains higher and spikes above its high, or sustains above its overnight high, this market could potentially be fading and going lower. Okay, going lower, deeper into some lower levels that we just mapped out. Okay, not calling for a crash or anything like that, but we have to check it. We have to monitor this. Okay, so I'm going to see how the VIX sustains its kind of overnight trend up. VIX snaps, comes lower, kind of hangs out down here, and maybe makes a new low here. Right, that could be more bullish for the market. All right, spots. Yeah, no problem, Cal. Component. All right, so we already kind of talked a little bit about SPYs already. Weekly on the left, daily on the right. All right, we're still within last week's high, last week's low, weekly range, and even kind of the week prior too. So we're kind of doing a little bit of a basing here. All right, on the weeklies. All right, weekly time frame. All right, but today's gap, we'll see, right? That VIX number I just mentioned, we have a gap up. All right, we have a gap up, we have a gap up, we have a gap up, but we're going to see how that sustains. Okay, a little bit of a pain gap here for shorts. Qs, clearing, close here, gap up here. One of the things that I was going to reference is that we do have this weekly high on the Qs right up here. This price point comes in at 329.02 ish. Okay, so we close here, we're gapping up here. Okay, so this is this is a red bar close gap up, outside gap, which is powerful, right? So I want to see that VIX remain lower for this thing to sustain higher. All right, but one of the things that you want to look for too is this 529 handle on the QQQs. This is a weekly high, which is only the last kind of weekly high before we get into the all-time high in Qs. So we're only we're only, as we speak right now, we're only 3%, sub 3%, 2.5% off of the all-time highs. Okay, right from early mid-April. Okay, from all that insane tariff stuff, right? So kind of crazy, right? But just reference that. So if this thing does gap up and we just continue to grind higher and things like that, or go higher, I'd reference that 529 on Qs, okay, to take profit, okay, and you could potentially do maybe a day trade here for maybe a mean revert, okay, mean reversion. All right, and you can also check how is Nasdaq Globex, is Nasdaq futures. I'll just say NQ at a Globex trap, because I want to confluence that with the Qs. Y'all can't see that, so I'll make that bigger. All right, moving on. Got gold kind of hanging out. Apple, be careful with this ticker. Apple is, Apple's Apple, but just I'm not even going to waste our time on this. This is for the past several weeks. It's just been up, down, up, down, up, down. So quite rangy. At some point it's potentially going to break out, higher or lower, but it's just continuing to get pinched here, and literally right now, as I'm speaking, it's like gap up. Yes, gap up, but in terms of location, okay, it's just literally in mid-range. Okay, now that could provide a potential pop up in here, right in the middle on this gap up here, kind of taking out a couple day prior highs, but a lot of squiggle lines, a lot of pinches here, so just be careful. It's kind of been annoying to day trade it. In longer term trading, I want to if we break lower, I got to be aware of that, right? So like if I'm longer term trade, if we break lower, I'm almost going to be using these lower levels to potentially lean in on a longer term swing trade, or longer term emphasis on that. Amazon. Now Amazon's a bit interesting. It's still kind of pinching, and kind of in between things, right? But we were talking a little bit about this yesterday, where in the trade room, where here's weekly candle, right? We can't fill this gap. A lot of things haven't filled that gap just yet. But we have this little weekly doji here. And I was mentioning that if Amazon can sustain and hold these bids, and we can get maybe a positive COG close for this week, which is today and Friday, and then I'm sorry, today is going to be Thursday, and then tomorrow being Friday to end the week. That could be a bit of a potential swing play if we can sustain above, I would say, like last week's high, close above that green bar, right? Green bar closing above this red bar doji. But And I was mentioning to the team that you could potentially use this week to lean into a swing trade on Amazon. Okay. And, we were referencing a couple of levels here with some VWAPs and things like that. But we are getting a gap up on Amazon here today. So this is good, right, for a bullish. So like red bar close, gap up here. There is another unfilled gap that we would probably definitely want to reference right there. All right, so pre-market quote here. So Apple, a bit of some relative strength on at least just for a pre-market. Okay, now we already talked. Cal Capone had a great question. We already kind of spoke a little bit about AVGO. All right, we absorbed this supply, right? We already talked about this, right? This supply right there, hit it once, pulled back. Bears just could not sustain this. Hit it twice, hit it 3 times, just could not pull back, could not get it. Base break range. Boom, see it going, approaching all-time highs. All right, and if long, okay, and we started getting up into the high points, that's the all-time high right there, 250 handle. You can take TP some, okay, and again, like I mentioned, there'll be some exit distribution up here. Just people locking in. This would be exit distribution. Which just means that what traders / investors. Could peel out and just realize some gains. All right, getting all out of the portfolio, no, but you take some profit, realize some gains at highs. All right, which could provide a little bit of a mean reversion, but we already kind of spoke a little bit about that. It's going to be a little harder one to do. We got Google here. For the record, I got some carryover long calls from yesterday on this. Slight gap up here. We still have not cleared this March high yet. Trying to absorb that. Trying to absorb this March high, monthly high. Trying to there, right? So Google's one of these things where all of a sudden it could just pop. So we'll see. We'll see. Yesterday's close wasn't stellar, but we had a lot of red bar closes yesterday. As mentioned, we're gapping up above those now. The day prior, what was this? Tuesday, putting a nice wide range bar belt hold right off yearly VWAP, back above yearly VWAP. That's darker line right there is this year's VWAP. Okay, so I like this outside gap up right here above that doji. That small body range right there. So, we'll see, right? Yesterday, we, just rallied up, took a quick little long off that, right? And then I held some contracts. And then I think I even added in, with the team yesterday too. Nothing too crazy. But we'll see if we can get a punch on this. All right, Google's one of those things where it's a sleeper and then it could just pop on you, right? So we'll see. Tesla. I'm long on this too. My long entry ad yesterday was not great. I'm not too happy with when I executed it. All right, so I've been working along Tesla here, long. So yesterday I had one ad swing long right there, which I'm not too happy about because I bought high instead of accumulating lower. Now I bought lower here, but taking some profit. But I got one little bad execution, but we'll see. All right, we'll see. I got Friday's expiration on this. I've been just really working Tesla alongside. It's just been trying to absorb the supply level here, dipped in it here, dropped down, right? And then we had a nice little outside gap, breakaway gap on Tuesday, which I was focusing on Tesla, and yesterday being Wednesday as well. All right, well, I got the 375 strike. Here at Phantoms, we don't hide losers, man. I'm floating down on these right now, right? We're going for $1.70. And this account, my average fill is not great. This is a smaller account, like 420. Nice. But we'll see, right? We'll see if we can get that, if we can absorb this. What I'm looking for is sweep. Now, we do have this weekly level that's kind of hanging on by a little bit of a thread there. As you can see, we've got deeper in there. So I want to see if today into tomorrow if we can potentially what's the word, squeeze, right? Squeeze and pump and continue to go a little bit more of a pump there, right? But albeit we still have not cleared the supply level just yet. All right, we're absorbing it. We're up into this portion of it, so it's hanging on by a wick, right? Supply levels. All right, hanging on by a little bit of a wick there. Let me see. I'll check GackSpot real quick for on for some squeeze. My realtor is texting me. Tesla, this is a Tesla, and nice. They got some sold calls here that could potentially squeeze the 373. That's what I wanted to see yesterday. This is a sold call wall that could potentially squeeze here, but that's way up there at 73. That's nuts. There's another one right here too at 360. So they might be already getting squeezed out a little bit here. This morning close here, red bar close here. That's a mortgage gap up. So we'll see. Usually those gaps are powerful. We need that VIX to calm down. Microsoft, one of the other relative strength plays, close to all-time highs. 1.5% off of that all-time high. Kind of crazy, right? Microsoft did its thing. Wow. Yesterday's high. Yesterday's low. Gap up, but not an upside gap like some others. We closed here, gap up here so far on pre-market quote. So not the strongest gap up from today mega cap, right? But Microsoft, relative strength, and there's the all-time high, touching that, kissing that, right in the camp of the all-time high. All right, so we'll see. Right? This is just based on the gap itself. There might be better ones, but you never know. This could unravel to be one of the better ones today, right? This could all just be one gap up, move up, and just fade lower all day. This could be the case. Stay tuned to find out more. Meta. Yesterday's high, yesterday's low. Meta is interesting too. I kind of like this little formation on the weeklies. It's not done yet on this candle close here, but Meta's doing a little bit base action here too. So Meta could be a little interesting here. Try to start to claim above some of its VWAPs here. And this March high could be a hit point tag. So there could be a little long sneaky swing play here too, potentially. All right, still might want to work low base range on this. All right, so you can potentially go into like accumulation mode. Potentially down here. You kind of want to see it. It already kind of went down in here earlier this week here, but I want to see this green bar close above here for what's called a positive CFG above this hammer here. Sellers giving out. All right, so that would be entering price like kind of up here. But if we could try to get a pullback, I'm not sure if it's going to happen, but we'll see. But you might be able to sneak in a little bit of something there. Today's gap outside, you got a topping, wick here, right? You're gapping up above that, like most things. We got NVIDIA. If you're a long call NVIDIA, good job, congrats. I would suggest to you can potentially take some profits off a little bit here. All right, I'm not telling you how to manage it, but sometimes on earnings, okay, you have these gap ups. We're at this level here, and we can just gap up and kind of like grind and fade lower, okay. And you're gonna have what's called a Vega crush today too. So if you own options, volatility is gonna drop. So if you own calls, right, vol's gonna drop, volatility is gonna drop. So that's gonna take a little bit of money away from the vol that you got long. It's called a volatility drop. Right, and data indicates against you on long options, right? So therefore, when this thing, if this thing gaps up, it depends. Like let's say you have like 10 contracts on, for example, maybe you can take off 2, right? Have a little bit order to see if you get a little bit more higher, take off 2 or more, what have you. You can scale up potentially, right? Because if you gap up and you don't take nothing off because you want to be a little greedy, and then it just fades down and grinds back down all over you, and then you just see your profits evaporate, right? Along with Theta and Vega taking it away from you as well. AMD, nice gap here on AMD, outside gap. Bell's about to ring. Okay. All right, if anybody got along those SPY calls, they were just printed in 320s, they pulled back. They were just printed in 340s. So I'm gonna scale out. If I can scale out some of these, I had one bad entry on these. All right, so I just took some off here, just to reduce a little exposure. Let me do that in my other account just real quick. Hold on, I got y'all folks. All right. All right, let me check internals just real quick. Okay, VIX calming down a little bit there. We'll see how that unravels. So far, gap up, fade lower. Tesla trying to do a little something there. Advanced declines, positive 1300 on a downtick. Not extreme. Vol D up. So far, gap up, fade lower. We're in a negative GEX. So this thing could fade lower. We got 5,900 positive gamma node. That's about 25 points away. So just want to be a little patient, see if this is going to be a flush or not. All right, so far off the open here. Wide range bar. All right, NVIDIA holding its bids right now. So you see how AMD had a clearing gap, but red bar off open here, so you want to be a little bit patient. Yep, watch the monthly highs up here, right, on tickers. There goes Pinsky, right? He's the man, Phantom. So 140, right? You got the multi high, so as planned, right? TP some here, but coming up into that Feb high on NVIDIA, and that could just blow right through. But I would suggest this would be kind of to take some profits, right? All right, these are all the things that we planned yesterday. All right, so Iron Condor crush. Man, this stuff, this restream, man, it really slows everything down. It's annoying. All right, VIX dump it down a little bit here. Nothing too crazy, but Amazon positive COG official on twos. Google. Yeah, Google, NVIDIA is kind of approaching monthly February high right now as we speak. That's why if you caught it bullish, you can exit distribution some on long calls if you caught it. Amazon fall through here. Amazon Google a little interesting. Broadcom gap down fade, gap up fade. Needed to calm down. That's people locking in some gains on that. That thing is a monster. If you want to snag some Amazon here, long call here, the 210 strike, it's giving it to us there. It's trying to do its thing here. Just market's a little heavy right now. We're up, we gapped up, but we're fading a little bit lower on this, so on S&Ps, etc. Still early. Amazon long call, not too bad. You pick up the 210 strike for day trade for tomorrow's expiration. All right, now you're going for about $1.32 here. $1.25. Market's a little heavy, so you gotta be careful with these. And man, I'm usually faster than this, but this program really slows things down. So like there's literally like a delay every click that I click, and that's just not ideal. SPY breakdown a bit. There's a low risk entry. This is kind of a negative COG here. If you want to try to ride some puts, and can keep it tight. That said, my entry on SPY's long call yesterday was just not great. It's annoying right now because those printed nice. I should have gone for like $1.50 instead of $2.79. So if you get long put SPYs right now for a day trade, call it say like maybe the 589, maybe like a 30 delta. Well, for about $1.03 if you want to try to ride that a bit there, keep it low risk. You'd be playing this VWAP test here, but you could potentially get in right now in this VWAP test. So that would be like this. $5.89 strike put day trade VWAP test on this to get bearish. God, this thing is slow. This is a bought put, $5.89 strike day trade. Amazon breakdown. Looking like that might be a cut. So bought put SPYs, day trade. All right, and we can just play fall through here. So stop loss if this thing fails. Stop loss. I don't want to put my stop loss right on VWAP and not at that level, right? But if we can kind of if bulls happen to take this thing, which looks like it's not going to, at least right now for the time being, if we kind of reclaim halfway back on this wide range bar open here, you just stop loss and get out. Okay. or if you're taking an S&P, that'd be stop loss on ES shorts futures. So on the premium chart, if you bought these for like $1 or something like that, you probably get stopped over like maybe 60, 55 cents or something like that. Let's see. Tesla hanging on to the 365 handle. Amazon kind of being a little annoying. I want to stop out right below opening day print low because that's usually some market maker shark bait right there. We have a pocket of negative GEX here. So 5,900 on SPX. Breaking down a little bit. A little bit of a positive giving out here. All right, so you TP some of these puts. All right. Amazon looking like I'm gonna have to cut that. I don't like the way it's acting. All right, that's SPY puts TP some. They pull the trigger on Google just because this bullish exposure might be a little careful. Tesla's trying to hold it up a little bit there. And I gotta check exposure on Jeffrey Bezos. Snapping back to last week's high. What's my exposure on it right now? About 50 cents down on these. Not ideal. So gap up, fade lower. So it's probably gonna be a cut. SPY's new lows. VIX kind of creeping back up there, right? So I'm going to give it, this is last week's high. I want to see, how it responds on this, but on Amazon that is. But if this thing here, you're going to be objective, right? So just say, okay, if that weekly level does not hold up, because I'm on the wrong side of this at the moment, okay. So you want to be objective, right? So like, okay, if usually I don't like to stop out right on premium, right? But I get this, retest level of the weekly, like right here. So if this thing gives out, it's going to get out. Right? Just like it's happening right now. Right? So you just put a stop loss here on these at call it 60 cents, give or take. You say, okay, if that weekly level does in fact indeed get does not hold up, then stop me out. Okay. Yeah, it's looking like it's happening right now soon. Okay, so it looks like Amazon might be a loss here off open. Yeah, usually I don't like to be against VWAP. Right? Like so, for example, in spies, what I'm trying to do is just work liquidity on below VWAP. So like such to enter by cover. In fact, I got to pay. Excuse me. I got to pay a little more of spies right now. Long put. Yeah, still my other account. Fang's kind of breaking down a bit here, right? So he's puts it up here. Not bad. I mean, but Tesla's Tesla's down. What Amazon too is not following through here. All right, that's a TP on some spies here. Hit it. All right. God, this is annoying. The TPs, TP10, whatever. Take profits. Did Amazon get tagged? Not quite. Hanging on by a thread there. Probably need it licked out. All right, Tesla's about a point off. It's off yesterday's premium close. And I'm not sure what's going to happen, but one of the things about this, what is option stepped, right? Is we have a slight negative gex above here. So if this holds some bids down in here and we kind of get some momentum back up, that we could slice through. We could slice through this negative gex as I'm speaking, right? Right. So that's why I'm not like just going crazy here with these puts and just slamming out of Amazon, even though Amazon is not the greatest entry. But we have this like negative gex above this price. So if spies catch just a little bit of the bids on this little pullback here, we could potentially slice. SPX could slice through this. All right. That's why I just emphasize taking some profits as you see the spies. If you're still in, just went immediately to break even. Right, depending on your fill. So if you want to work, this would be a time to enter and lean in and add it to your short if you're short, as we are at the VWAP test. What's VIX doing? VIX For bearishness, you want to see VIX not go above its high here. For bearishness, market down, you would want VIX to blow up on this, right? Take this up. Right? On bullishness, you want that VIX to kind of calm down and trickle down, right? So we'll see. It's closer to its highs than it is lows, right? So we got a VWAP test on SPYs. So I assume I have to cut those puts. Mac Beast, you taped on point, SPY. You taped on point. I like it. Thanks, brother. Sometimes I do dumb things on myself, even after a 15-year veteran. And this, my Tesla entry yesterday was bad, and my SPY long call was not great. It's not over yet. Man, this level S&P futures had that mapped out, go back lower here. That could still potentially hit though. I mean, heck, that could even get blown up, right? So, Amazon hung on just by a little thread. Woo. Not over yet on it though. That's why lesson here, TED Talk. Put your stop loss in and try not, right. Take your human element thought out of it, right. All right. If this happens, if not, right. Because imagine if I was like, oh, let me just get out because wow, and then I got stopped. And I'm like, no, I just took myself out, right, manually. Now, Amazon can still be wrong, right. But anyways. Let's see. All right. SPX putting this 5-minute COG here, but we're still kind of on its VWAP right now. So you see the pairs coming in here again. I'm going to use this little move here to distribute some more SPYs. TP some SPYs. The options is still up, roughly about 20%, give or take. All right, I'm about to get the first 3-minute close here. Yeah, Pansy. Well, you still might be okay with it. The only that's a pretty negative. That's a pretty negative COG coming off VWAP right there. The 30-minute bar close is coming up soon. So first 3-minute bar print so far is obviously down in red. So I know you're like looking at this negative yak, so you want this swipe. I get it. I get it. Believe me, I know. I just know. Be patient. We might have to flush lower. If that even happens, right? If we get that flush, that hot pocket that we call them, right? These hot pockets, right? So maybe the hot pocket's not done yet. It's still in the microwave, right? All right, but don't give up on it. Don't give up on it. We could swipe. We get this 5900 positive gamma node down here. So, right. So just plan of action. Okay, 5900 SPX. If we get a swipe down in here, and that would also be S&P futures looking like it's going to get into the deeper down the level, the better levels as well, right? So we kind of planned one front side in 5900. I think Joe Frank was mentioning this, right? 5915 coincides, confluences with the 5900 positive gamma node on SPX, right? Now here's the thing: Pinksy took a shot. You have to take a shot, right? You got to take a shot. Controlled his risk. Now that would be kind of another plan A, right? If you're long puts, your ride puts lower, TP as we're coming down into demand. Let me go over here. And plan, right? That'll be like a plan A, right? Ride puts lower, TP if we get that, right? SPX maybe potentially coming down to that 5900, right? And then you got plan B, right? Now we could put in a stamp. The bears, right? The bears, took VWAP, right? We're at the last little level right there, inside, coming up inside this wide range bar here. And I had mentioned, just a nice little bar that we can put the printed it here for us right there, right, to lean against. Okay, right off open. Now, plan B, as mentioned, is, okay, great. Well, now we have, okay, great, grinding VWAP down, okay? Boom, right? VWAP test, negative COG. Now we're waiting for potential equal to or new low to go on a profit take campaign. Now, Pinsky's like, man, I'm really looking at negative GEX above price. I want that hot pocket, right? I want that hot pocket. I want SPX to slice up above that node, right? That negative GEX. And so now this candle has such a nice little stamp here that if we start to get a close above here, positive COG back above VWAP, we're taking out this red bar. Okay, hypothetically, if we didn't make a new low here, and that we could still make a quick little new low and then reclaim it back up here, right? So again, this could be another plan B up here, right? Because what am I going to have to do to my SPY puts as we potentially get back above here and reclaim this positive COG green bar close above this? I'm going to have to do what? I'm gonna have to get out, right? I'm gonna have to get out of my short trade, right? And buy a cover, right? Buy a cover, right? And that's like buyers coming up, right? That's what a COG is. Buyers out taking sellers, and so Pinsky's another plan of action could be, okay, be patient, wait for positive COG above here. Okay, but right now the tape is, grind lower so far. Right now. The market's going to go up, down, sideways, right, folks? Right. So, okay, great. We already have we have an impulse move here. We have a small correction move here. Okay. So this, we not to be cheesy, but this could either make it equal to or new lower low. Okay. It could base it sideways. Bull bears going at it. Bull bears going at it. Bull bears going at it. Okay. Or it could go up and swipe. So if you talk yourself like that, then bar by bar, we just got a 30-minute bar close, map out the bar high, bar low, all right. And though this setup in SPX still might be, of course, on the board if you're working it right. Now, within everything that I just said right there, TED talking here, did I have any? I'm just trading the tape and I'm speaking the tape's action, right? I'm not thinking about anything else. All I care about is what's my plan. What's my trade plan do? Where am I exiting? Where am I entering? Where am I exiting? What's my risk exposure, etc. Right? Like off the open on SPYs, I had to reduce some exposure, even though, what it's like, I made like 10 cents and I was floating down like almost 50% on the options, right? Disclaimer, right? But it was like, I can't be greedy. I had to reduce exposure because I have to control my risk no matter what, ABC, right? And then I can give this market some time to figure out what's going on here for the day, okay? And, right? Does that make sense? So you gotta know when to execute. All right, so we'll see. Bitcoin. Bitcoin's all-time highs, man. All-time highs. Loving it. I'm kind of being a snob here in saying this, but I own this, of course. Like, I mean, if you don't own Bitcoin by now, I don't know what to tell you, man. But I'm never selling this thing, so we're at all-time highs. I mean, could it drop? Of course, right? But I'm not the one to short this thing. I'm using bigger picture, macro. I don't day trade crypto. I long term, right? So mainly Bitcoin. That's majority of what I have. But I'm just using bigger pullbacks down to just accumulate, right? Like a daily time frame here. So we're just kind of like hanging out. We just went on a nice little rally here, nice little impulse move. So I'm not going to go insane with this and be like a Bitcoin maximalist or anything like that. But I love me some Bitcoin. I don't day trade this thing. We kind of I mess up my, I guess you could day trade it if you separate from your long term portfolio. But yeah, I'm just chilling. I'm chilling. I got, I'm long Bitcoin, and if we pull back lower, we got this impulse move. It's been great. It's just been doing its thing. Major impulse move. We got bigger corrections. Impulse move, bigger correction, right? If we go up to 120, I don't know if that's going to happen or not. There's nothing. There's no supply to the left because we just wiped out all-time highs. So it's just kind of in the abyss right now, right? Which is good if you're long. TP some spies. All right. Spy puts, that is. Tesla breakdown. Tesla snapping lower. Google was a fake out. All right, picking up some steam here, right? Bet your VIX is up. Pop new high. I'm gonna unload a little more spots here. It was a good ad too. There's a good ad on this. Don't have enough sides on this. All right. Focus on that. All right. Let's see. search this. And Amazon got swiped, okay? Let me snag out my other account. She's mad. All right, Amazon swipe out. Stopped. All right. My tested position 420 down 50% on that. So like earlier this week, it's giving me a little heat right now. Giving back some Tesla gains potentially. Looks like it. Somebody asked Microsoft. Let me see. Fall through lower. Let me see those real fast. So Microsoft just swiping yesterday's low. If you're short TP some. It'd be a hard chase right now because it's a bit of a bounce off yesterday's low. I got last week's VWAP hanging down there too as well with a monthly retest level on the other side. So this is a TP from shorts bounce for me and revert. I wanted to see the S&P futures, the level. All right. And the SPX, remember that gamma node. So I think Joe Frank mentioning this SPX, we got the come on. Come on. So we got 5,900. Wow, this thing's just not working. No, SPX kissing that 5,900 level. Where's its bearish volume coming from? It's just markets, man. It's just we're gonna gap up into some high supply that Nvidia pumped up, and we're just fading. We're just fading the gap. Markets go up, markets go down, markets go sideways. Just trade it. Just trade it. I'm not searching for this because it's more on the gap ups on these gap ups. Distribution, and we're fading lower. It's just buyers and sellers. All right, now we got this 5,900, right? Positive gamma node. The answers you seek is in your mind. The answers you seek is in the chart on the right side of markets. Trading the tape, and your trade plan and your discipline and your edge, from your trading strategy is your edge, and that's it. All right. So that said, now that we are dipping down into this 5,900 decent little positive gamma node, could you start to begin to do some front side entry in, right? We also have, remember, this S&Ps. We get this 15 handle here. We got the futures, right? We got 5,900 on S&Ps lower down in here as well. Yesterday's low is here. So basically, everything that we did, or that it did, meaning the S&P futures kind of rallied overnight on the hype of Nvidia, right? Came in at 6,000 supply, and we're fading that lower down in here, right? So now this is not going to be the greatest time to you could still work your shorts, right? Like I still got some SPY puts on, not a lot anymore, okay, for the day trade that we took today. So I'm going to try to work, try to have runners here, okay? But with this positive gamma node that we're off right now, SPX is already up like seven points off of that. Okay, you can potentially work on a bullish, right? Take profits from shorts down here and then take a potential bullish setup. Now we have an unfilled gap right there. Okay, so we could go a little bit more lower, but you see, so far the low is like what, 59,000, $1. So if I usually like to go front side in on that, meaning that I'm already kind of limiting into or already limiting into 5,900. Now we can still get down and even below 5,900 potentially. Okay, but remember that talk when we were talking about Pinsky Dylan here, where he's trying to attack that negative gamma node here, negative gas. This is so slow, it's annoying. Come on. Would a pullback on NQ to daily VWAP be a potential entry short if you miss this move? Yeah, Roger, potentially, right? Because and that's the thing here too, is low, high as we rally back up, right? Extension new low, TP longs, bounce trade. TP take profits from shorts. Okay, bounce trade, mean revert. Okay, so what's happening up here is as we get up into VWAP up here, okay, anybody who is long that's trying to take that equal to or new low positive gamma node and we rally up, they're going to be doing what? Selling to exit. And now Roger's like, dang, I missed this, right? I missed this move down. So he's going to have to wait for a rally up into a mean reversion, okay? And then you sell short to enter, right? So it'd be like longs, right? Or take profits, bottom cover, right? And then from shorts. Right, red cells. Well, I already have the notes here, right? I don't know why I'm wasting our time here. I think this one's completely froze on this account. All right, so shorts, TP. Right, and so down here equal to a new low, SPX 5,900 give or take, right? This could have been a bull, right? That could have been bought to enter, you're going against momentum, right? At least for the day here today, okay. And then if you buy to enter, this is going to going counter trend, okay. If we get any, some people already mentioned like TP, some S&Ps, even on this little bounce up, right? So as we get up, okay, what's going to happen? People who have got long on that bounce entry are going to have to do sell to exit, realize some gain on the mean reversion if we can even get up here. That's why folks are already TPing, scalping here. Okay, if you took that bounce, all right. And so I'll put this red. So this is going to be what? Sell. This is going to be sells. Sell to close some bounce longs. Close bounce longs. If you took that counter trend, which is counter trend, right? Okay, but this is also where Roger's like, hey, I'm gonna join this trend here. I'm gonna sell short to enter. Okay, that's what moves market, supply demand, right? So, right, and then who's gonna win? who's going to win, right? So if we come up here, we start to base, and we break this or reclaim this. Well, the buy to enter at 5,900, new entry low. It's not just a little bounce now, right? That could potentially change trend. Way too early for that right now. All right, and then shorts could potentially get stopped out if that does inevitably happen, or if it does, right? And you can see like right now, even 5,900. We haven't really touched it officially, so we could swipe a little bit below that. But right now, if I'm trading the tape, I just got a negative COG. Right, I just got a negative COG. Right now, the good thing about this is it is a negative COG, but the bad thing about this is that the location of that negative COG is getting very close to some demand. So if you wanted to try to ride this for what it's worth right now, I should be rolling my delta. I'm too late on this, but now we're a little bit below that 5,900. Okay, so what I'm going to just do really quickly is there's only two things to do to execute right now, right? Is buy cover from shorts, and then now that we just dipped a little bit below that gamma node, you could potentially take a bit of a bounce trade on this new low. Is this making some sense? Right now, I'm going to realize some gain. Whoa. All right, now SPX officially kind of touched that 5,900. Doesn't mean that we can't go below it, but it's giving you a chance here. Now you can also have a gap fill down here too, right? So it comes in at about 88 handle. So maybe we could potentially get another little flush here. VIX on highs. But if you want to take a small stab at this, you can always 58.90 down here. So again, that's a little bit of the gap fill. If you want to take a stab at this 5,900 SPX level, you can either do SPYs, SPX, or SP futures. SPX is going to be a little bit more higher risk. So therefore, like if I were to say pick up some SPYs, just want to be a little bit more conservative with folks on at least on YouTube. You never know who's kind of like watching and things like that. But maybe pick up like a I don't know, like a what is SPYs trading? 588, 590, 591 is VWAP. If you pick up maybe like a 590 strike call. This could be kind of like the 5,900 bounce play on SPX. All right, so I'll pick that up. Now, SPX, I want to see if SPX can fill that gap at 88 handles. That's why I'm doing SPY exposure right now, just a little bit. Now, I'm not going crazy on this long here because if we swipe down below, remember there's another gamma node at 50, what was it, 58.90, right? So again, position size management. So this is a long call bounce off 5,900. All right. Send it. All right. So put my money where my mouth is. Did Blessing tell us to TP? Did we TP some of those long puts? Yes. Reduce size, reduce size, reduce size. So TP from took profit from shorts. And it took what? Took a light medium position size, bounce long. All right, now this is counter trend on the bounce long. All right, now with the stop loss of the long puts, okay, and your exposure should be reduced fairly significantly by now, right? Okay. Trail, right? Trail stop loss. Right, now with me? And so, like, if this thing does make a new low, I didn't let go of all those puts. So I'm going to TP some of the remaining puts that I have, even though albeit it's small size now because I unloaded, and then say, well, Mr. Blue, now that long call is going to be floating down a little bit there, right? Well, yeah, because we're going to be working on that, right? We had some thesis there at the 5,900 long Gimino there, okay, but that doesn't mean that we can't fill this gap here, right? And so. Right, so if we make a new low, what I'm going to do is TP some more from the shorts, and then I can leg into another round of what? I can leg into another round of bounce trade. Right now, this is going against momentum, right? This is going against momentum. So, could we already TP some of the long calls for the bounce? Yes or no? Off SPX 5,900 level. Boom. Right? Hit some right now. Okay. And so this is a what? This is a TP from bounce. Let me hit more right now. Hit more. Like, you see how I don't care? Like, I'm not saying this to Abdul. He's like, where's all this stuff go? I don't, bro. Trade it, right? Trade it. Stay focused, right? Trade the tape. TP from longs from bounce. Now I forget who asked. Was it like Roger? If I scroll up, I don't know, right? So could this be a chance where Roger's like, oh man, I got this rally, right? This is TP from long, right? This is red, right? Sell, right? So I just made the bounce trade, kind of like white right there, right? So right. So look at now the long SPY puts that you're in are giving back a little bit on the runners, right? On the runners. Right? And that's why, Blessing was like, you got to TP, you got to lock in those. Okay. So if you're still in these are only up about like 30 cents, give or take. These option went up, by 100%, give or take, whatever, right? And so stop loss can be at least at break even, so this can't kind of hurt you no more, right? So make sure. Okay. Make sure. All right. In fact, you can even probably, you don't want to get clipped out, but you can even take some profit here. Maybe just re-engage this at the VWAP test up here. You might be able to get this for like another 80 cents or 90 cents, but you might want to roll that too. So that's the thing. All right, does that make sense? So like this is now, let me TP some more of these bounces here. And remember the Roger question was like, hey man, like, but Roger would start to begin to get back in, or try to leg into, right? Leg into, sell short to enter on this VWAP test. More higher, okay? Microsoft, I think that was Mark Wahlberg. Shout out right there at that new daily low swipe. Boing, bounce. You get your bounce, brother, if you're in that. All right, that's just this. That's a TP from bounce. All right, so I said to myself today, I'm not messing around today. I was being too weird yesterday, and I executed a couple things not so great. So not today. So you're kind of seeing New York style, kind of rip tape style, New York City. Kind of style here. I guess I could just, take the objective, the subjectivity out of this, stop loss break even, whatever your fill is. And if I were to like leg into more puts, if we get a VWAP test higher, then I'm going to be rolling. I'm not going to get re-engaged at 589. I'm going to have to roll higher because of theta. All right, so just make sure your stop losses at break even on these long puts, so it can't hurt you no more. Okay. Wherever your fill is about, it should be about $1, give or take. If you still hold these, if you still have these. I hate stopping out right on VWAP, but it's all good. That trade already has so much small size on it. It doesn't matter anymore, really. What do we have to do here now? TP. I'm gonna hit the TP bounces here. If you took S&P futures, SPYs, SPX, take this hit right here. Take this. I think you spiked. Shit. Give some money on the table there. See that spike. All right, I got a nice little low on day here. Pull what's called a fade VWAP. The low on day so far. This is a low on day fade VWAP. Put that green. Impulsion correction. Impulsion area correction. So it's all the way down here. So that's a nice little bounce. SPX. I saw a bounce. Okay, cool. All right. Now on the bounce play, make sure your stop loss is at break even now. Right. Bing bong. Do you even trade, bro? No. Okay. So stop loss on break even on the long haul and long point here for today. Negative COG just came in on SPYs. I got to check some internals. Now it's like, the SPY position that I'm in right now that I cornered into, you just stop loss break even. Whichever way it breaks out further, I'll just cut out break even on one side and rip the other side. Whichever side, I don't give a shit. Oh, can't say that. I got some SPY calls left over from yesterday that had taken some heat, in all fairness. And Tessie too. So it would be better if we took a spike up. And also, I would like to see this potential negative. Yes, come on. Is anybody else's options depth kind of acting up a little bit here today? It might be the streaming software that I'm on right now. So did you take calls? Did you take calls off a zone? Yeah, the SPX 5900. So liquidated puts, dropped down to my runners, stop loss break even on puts, and then took a bounce, long call, and already TP some, and stop losses at break even on that as well. So like right now, I'm in like a good little position here, just intraday, where I got myself, TP, some SPYs both ways, and I'll stop loss break even, and I can kind of like just wait to see which way it pops. I still got my eye on this negative DX up here. But we need a snap. We need a snap above VWAP. It's going to be hard if we can't reclaim VWAP back up. So, folks, look at Amazon, Google, 1 hour bar close. What is this? 30 minutes. So, yeah, we were up on highs, and so now we swiped down. Now we're down at like the previous day lows, right? So buy high. You don't want to be buying high. You want to be buying low, right? So this market just gapped up above highs and came back lower, right? Amazon, Microsoft swipe, right? So you see how they come swiped yesterday's low. All right, I think it was Money Mike or Mark Wahlberg shouting this out at that time. Like the worst thing to do as you're coming down here is do what? Red, down. Just get short. You don't want to get short on lows. Yesterday's a low. You want to buy low. Swipe. Liquidity sweep. Doink. Right. So if you understand execution, right? Liquidity, this right here at this moment of time, right? Exactly right there below that yesterday's low. And we have a last week's VWAP real quick, right? Right there. This is going to be what? This is going to be a buy to cover from shorts that you should already be in. Okay, as we're like negative COG ripping lower, ripping lower, ripping lower. Okay, or a what? Buy if you're flat, right? Buy to enter for a mean reversion, and you're getting a mean reversion right now. So if you took that balance play, just like what it did at SPX, okay, you need to be taking profit, taking profit, taking profit. And now guess what? We're in the middle, right? We're in the middle of like yesterday's high, yesterday's low range. Okay, this is yesterday's VWAP. This is this week's VWAP. This is today's VWAP. All confluence right here. So Microsoft for the week, for the day, is completely balanced right now. Does that make sense? And so if you're not in something in Microsoft, just like for example, right now, just using it as an example, I would wait. Like right now, it's a 50-50 bet play, and you don't want to be doing that. If you're long, where would you TP? Keep it simple. If you're long from here, right? You got your VWAP, everything I just mentioned there on VWAP. I know it's like delayed too, so I might have already answered that question. It's just everything's delayed with this stuff. So if I already answered it, apologies. But supply, right? I mean, right? If you look at it, right? Keep it simple. Keep it simple because I'm stupid, right? I'm too dumb. I'm up to. Right? I keep it simple, right? Right? Impulse correction. Impulse. Okay. Equal to new low, right? We already talked about that. We showed this live. Mark did it live. I didn't even take the trade. I did spies, right? But we have what impulse correction, impulse. Just for a day, small time frame here, right? And supply to the left, and if you snag long, right? If you snag long as you're coming up into what this supply level with VWAP, all these VWAPs right there from this week and yesterday and today, all converging right here. If long, you would be doing what? Take profit, sell to exit. Right, so now this is going to be a what? Sell to close from longs. Right, now you could sell short to open here, right? Sell short to open, but be careful with that, right? But this would be the area. Re-engagement, sell short to open. Now, this might not be the best setup here because of we're in everything as mentioned. We're like just in the middle. And be careful if you're shorting. Remember, you got to look long-term picture too, right? So, what's Microsoft? Is Microsoft, is Microsoft in uptrend, downtrend? Right? Microsoft is ripping one of the stronger Magnificent Seven stocks out there at the moment. Okay. So like without trying to guess and flip a coin, you need to process in the system because of the higher time frames. Okay, because of the higher time frames on the monthly, weekly, daily time frame on Microsoft ticker, I'm going to lean more bullish because of those said high time frames. All right. Yes, I mean we are at this. We are at kind of the all-time high supply up here, right? Indeed. So I mean that's another thing too. So you'd weigh that, right? You'd weigh that. So I mean this does have a little bit more space to go to kind of get up into that supply level on the higher time frames. You got the monthly here, you got the weekly here, you got the daily over here. All right. But it's kind of like mid-range right now. I mean, we could potentially overall come down and maybe fill this gap and do a little liquidity sweep right below this level before it wants to make a new all-time high. All right, but if you're day trading it, you want to stay close to it, okay, on the VWAP, and you would what's called paint bars, right, on the small time frames. All right, so the last previous candle bar closed on the 30 here is got a bar here, swipe yesterday's low, hammer bar here. And again, you might want to wait for it to reclaim VWAP, that white dash line right here, to potentially engage. Like, let the market prove to you, right? Let the market prove to you. It's unique when you say, okay, if this, then that, right? As a computer, that's why people code things and algorithms, because a computer just input output data, right? And where people get in trouble is their human emotion, right? I'm not saying that I'm perfect, man. I I made a Tesla mistake yesterday, right? But if you set up a criteria and say, okay, if this, then I will do that. All right. But if nothing happens, if that does not happen, then nothing. Then nothing. Like disregard. No entry criteria. All right. So let it prove to you. Let it come to your conditions. You have to let the market come to you in your conditions in your trade plan. All right. A lot of people fail at this just because they think they know what's going to happen next. Like, oh yeah, it's going to come here. It's going to come here. Watch. I guarantee it. Okay, dude. Whatever. I can tell you're not a good trader because good traders never talk like that. They never talk like that. Good traders like, I don't know, bro. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. Well, what do you mean? Are you a good trader, man? I don't know. The reason why I'm a good trader is because I don't know. So therefore, I have to enter and exit based on demand, supply, liquidity, tape, okay, conditions, right, formations, right. No thinking, no feeling. Only get you hurt here in this business. Yeah, 1 hour demand, right? There's a ton of stuff there, right? Like 1 hour demand there. We had a rising 20, rising 50 right down here on just the strategy that we talk about phantoms here, right on top of demand supply, right? Yesterday's low, quick little sweep, boink, right? That's why I always say, if you folks, I'm going a little TED talky here on YouTube, but I bring last month's high, last month's low, last week's high, last week's low, yesterday's high, yesterday's low. So what Microsoft, we gapped up. Okay, closer into some supply. Okay, it could have been a gap up and rip, but we have FANG lower, so you guys have to pay attention to the intraday time frame too. It needed to come lower and to swipe some more liquidity, some demand, and now we're rebalancing. And now you wait, and that's a lot of people's problems. They don't want to wait. Three calls, SPX. Yeah, I see Tesla. I got my eye on it. I always got my eye on Tesla. I'm already long it, so I got some exposure on it. But I think it's reclaiming its view up, right? Yeah, I've touched 3 crows on this continuation here, but it's going to be interesting to see how this it's not formed just yet. That would be a solid red bar down. All right, let's see. Taking off from theta decay here. Oh. Is there specific times you like to trade? Somebody says on Instagram, "I love you, Nahom." Love you too, bro. It's all good. Nahom, my man. I mean, yeah, I love the open, man. Right? I love the I love the morning. I love the morning. The early morning. Futures are beautiful. Early morning, birds chirping, sun shining. I love that, right? And then of course I like to trade the open. But I'm kind of insane. If you maybe have not noticed already, I could trade any day, anytime, because I love it. Like legit love it. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it's like, all right, nothing's going, nothing's moving. It's like, all right, go do something else, because ideally, you don't want to be sitting in front of the screen all day. Like, I've never had a problem with it. Some people can't do that, and I get that, right? I don't really need to anymore in my life, but I'm always learning more. Like, I love learning. I love learning new stuff about, in the markets. Like, I genuinely love this business, like, wholeheartedly. So, that's just me. But I know a lot of traders that will trade like just the first maybe couple of hours off open and then chalk it up and golf, right? Go somewhere and do something else, and that's okay. Sometimes I do that. Some days I do that. Yeah, G traps have been insane lately, Joe Frank. Like freakily insane. So I like had a little moment yesterday. All phantoms together. We were like, can we just take a moment to like appreciate the way this chart looks? Tear down face. Aw. I mean, just beautiful. If you know, you know. This is all recorded and stuff, so blink, blink, just going just beautifully through demand, supply, demand, supply, demand, supply. Anyways, Mac Beast. Yeah, I know, man. I gotta give Q's a bit more love, man. I mentioned that early this week or last week. I love the S&Ps. So, but yeah, I mean, I gotta give Q's some love. But I would have been timing, the SPX gamma node with this anyway. So, I'm not a hindsight guy. I'm not a hindsight Harry kind of guy. Oh, if I did this, you whatever. I cringe when I see people in this industry say this kind of stuff. But that would have been a nice little fill right there because I would have been leaning against that. I got long spies, right? But yeah, I could easily go snag some Qs here too. And you're probably talking about NASDAQ futures as well. Yeah, so I swiped the retest one. I came low down in here. And I'm sure Qs have, the Qs right here, have that in there. All right, yeah, we're on a basing right now. Come on. It's a long day, folks, and if you know how to work this options depth thing here, there's negative gex above. If we get above here, that could potentially get some flow here. Oh, your African striker's brother. I'm joining fan. Yeah, man, he's a good dude. He's a good dude, smart dude. He's in Phantoms. He's a good dude. He's gonna be all right. You got good blood, bro. Yeah, man. We're happy to have you on board, bro. And if you're anything like Striker, your brother, then you're good. You're a good dude, man. And he brings value to the community. Smart dude. Always in class. All right. If we do happen, well, so I want to be careful with saying this, but given the fact of the negative gex above, if we reclaim VWAP and we can get above, we're soon to have another 30-minute bar close here. And there could be, I'm sure some Phantoms members that know the deal are already in probably some YOLO SPX calls due to that negative gex. still have some things to clear, obviously. I can get stopped out of this long put. Okay. Right? As planned. All right. Took it, wrote it. Stop loss break even. Oops. Out, right? So out for the long put. Done with that. And I still got some of the long calls. Now I didn't do a lot of size on that 5900 as mentioned, but I still got some runners on. All right, looks like Amazon back reclaiming. All right. And again, I would still like this to be above daily VWAP, which we have not yet. So shout out to the team with this 5900. On SPX. All right, now we're testing VWAP. Now, because I don't have that much size on the long calls to begin with, I'm going to see if I can just ride those out a bit more. All right, so everything's happening as planned, right? Stop loss on those long puts, right? You know, this could be a potentially add to the short puts there. It's a little short because you got VWAP test now. But the oh, come on, the SPX. Got a nice 15-point rip off 5,900. Let me see. I don't want to get too insane with this SPX. What's the high on day so far? SPX. This will be a complete YOLO. If you want to get short spies, it would be the time to do it now on this VWAP test with this little small intermediate supply level. Yeah, I don't want to get too far away from this 5950 handle. All right, I actually just cut out of my spy puts, but we still have this little supply level right above. So just because we're poking above VWAP, all right, does not mean that we're gonna get. So you know right here. Remember, we were just real quick in the morning. We didn't clear supply and above that VWAP. Boom, boom, slam. So, you know, got some long call spies. And if what I'm looking for right now, and I want to be careful with this, is get potential YOLO up here, maybe at like the 59.50, but these are going for like $4 to $3, $2 to $4. So you know, it might be a little bit too much for some. I could also work on this too on pullback if we get a pullback. If we get a pullback, because again we're a little bit above VWAP right now, but that negative GEX looks really juicy. All right, so if I were to look at this, say 59.50 here, right click this, copy this code. Now I gotta be careful with this. You got Fang kind of waking up a little bit here. You could potentially work on this SPX long call here. All right, so it's going about for about 430 right now. 450. All right, we'll see. So you can always put a pullback order in too. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get it, but SPX, you guys want to be a little bit more careful. I'm on YouTube a little bit right now. I'm a little bit more aggressive when I'm in the actual live trade room with Phantoms, but you could just say, okay, if this thing gets down to, if you're going to pull back here, because number theta decay too, right? So say, okay, if this thing gets down to 330, I'll pick some up. I'll pick it up. All right, now on this little punch up move here, what I am going to do is liquidate some of the long calls, right, on spots. Okay, so I'm going to hit that right now. Send it. Send it. All right, so just TP a little bit more of those spy calls, and I got a limit order on SPX lower. Nice bounce, yeah. Took it down, now trying to take it up. But what's the VIX doing? We would need VIX. We need VIX lower. Come on, delay. This is still a impulse correction impulse. This is still a corrective move inside the structure. So we need to get a pop. So it looks like trend wants to try to change here, but it has not yet. All right, henceforth, I'm not going, I don't want to just get nuts with the SPX YOLO, okay? So negative gap, so we're going to pull back order in on that, right? Looks like it just filled, right? It filled. Yeah, it filled. Let me get this my other account. And you can see that move of VWAP. So here, let me put this here. So like I said, this is still going counter trend momentum. So you gotta be careful with this. All right. So 30-minute bar close. So far we have this is an inside bar. All right, here's the mother bar high, mother bar low, previous bar low here. So bought SPX, what is it, the 59.50 strike. Okay. Call. This is still counter trend on day. And now stop loss on this, we have to, right, here's, what is this? Is this week's VWAP? Last week's VWAP? This week's VWAP? It's this week's VWAP. So you can put it, you want to be objective, right? So now this is the mother bar here, the previous 30-minute bar. Usually I don't like to stop out inside of a mother bar, but I got to give you all some risk component here, right? Mother bar high. Mother bar, where's the mother bar? Mother bar low. All right. Yeah. So that's what we're mentioning here right now, right? Bim, what is it? Bim Bimblett, right? If I'm saying your name right, if I'm saying it wrong, I should say I apologize. So yeah, it would be TP from longs, right? On this VWAP test up here, and that supplies we talking about all morning, and or sell short into VWAP going with trend. All right, with trend. All right. So yeah, you're absolutely correct, right? We'll see. One of the things I'm trying to attack here, which could be wrong, right? And that's why I'm expressing some risk on the SPX right now, right? This thing, well, that negative GEX, that little red kind of hot pocket there. Okay, but trying to attack that. All right, so far so far, again, like I mentioned, right, and you're absolutely correct, where it's not, it just cannot sustain and go above its VWAP right now, right? So if you're short, then you entered into the side of the momentum here today, right? And I had mentioned, like, even though we're kind of grinding up a little bit here, we're still inside of this, impulse correction, impulse. This is still a corrective structure inside of this. This is not trend change yet. All right. Now, if I took a little bit of a shot here on the SPX, right, I'm gonna put some risk on it, right? Stop loss risk. So now, if I were to get the mother bar high, mother bar low right there, this is a 30-minute inside bar because this bar is inside of this bar. Okay. So I don't, like I mentioned, I don't like to really stop out as much inside of inside bars. Okay, but I'm gonna use this week's VWAP and this level right here. Okay, as just potential some bids here. Okay, as a okay, if when we're, and why am I wrong? Well, if we break this previous inside bar, green bar close here, okay, I'll get stopped out. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so the risk, it's basically will look like this. All right, I like this thing here where it goes like this. Right. I'm not going to put it right below that level. All right, get a little bit of wiggle room. So it looks something like that, right? Now this is going against what? This is going against the overall momentum, right? So not to micromanage it. Well, let me give you the stop loss first, right? So that's probably going to be SPX. You got these at what, 330? So you're probably looking at probably like $1, maybe $1, maybe a little bit more than $1. All right, but check this out. Sometimes I don't like to guess that on premium. We could do something like this. Bought those with 330. Right click, create closing order. All right, and say okay, and put a condition on this, and say okay, if right, because I own these calls, right, and I want to sell them right, at market. But the condition is if SPX method is going to be market price equal to or below, right? Equal to or below that objective level. I'm going to put it at what, 5904. Okay, 5904. Does this make sense? Okay, equal to or below. $5,904. Spot price, right? So sell this, the option that I'm in, 5950, market if and when SPX market price is at or below 5904. Boom, send, save. So now I have a stop loss placement in, okay, based on an objective level. All right. All right. So kind of going against the grain just a little bit. So it's going to be, right, this is the morning, boom, impulse. Margin. Impulse. See that yellow box? I like it already. It's already there. This is kind of level and control. That's why I'm mentioning here. We got VWAP and plus we got the supply level right here. So we already dipped into that. That's why somebody's like, hey, you shouldn't get short up here. Yep, indeed, right? Doink. Right now, here's the thing, right? Or let me finish this thought first. Now we have this, a little bit of what? A small little trend range that's trend that's kind of formulating, but it's inside of this level and control here. right? This right here is the main leg lower. All right, and this is the level in control, right? So if shorts up here, right now I TP'd a little bit of some SPY calls there, right? And then I waited for the SPX pullback to get long, right? If anybody who's shorted up here, they're going to be what? Buying to take some profit, peel out some, right? Lower, buy to take some profit, peel out some, and you're going to be trading with the, because what you would want is, of course, this whole impulse move. This is just a correctional move inside of all this. You'd want this to snap if you're short, right? Right? Which you get. What you're getting right now. Okay. And I can see SPY calls in SPY calls in SPX pulling back, right? All right, so this would be TP from shorts coming down to this level. We get this one little level that we see how we're going against. We're going against this. We're going against the overall momentum, right? So we got this, this is it. So I got the VWAP here. We got a level, got the stop loss in place. And that's it, right? So this would be TP from, where did I get my notes? SPYs, I think. So remember this morning, I think we had, what was it, Roger, right? He's like, should I wait for that pullback up in VWAP, right? Like, yep, get that. TP from longs. And if you got short, right? If you got short, buy to, this would be TPs from shorts, buy covers. All right, and you can see right here, here's the long going against momentum, long SPX counter trend. Well, I guess I could keep the note clear here, keep SPYs kind of clean, clear, and we'll keep the SPX notes on SPX, right? All right, counter trend trade. We'll see. All right, we'll see. It's a day. Well, yeah, it's a day. We got it's our mix. And you got, that 5,900 still that positive gamma node down here, assuming that this is updated here. We'll see. In 30 minutes, we're going to have this bar print here. So if this red bar starts to outtake this green bar, well, I'm going to be getting stopped out, right, of any longs that you have. Excuse me. And that could be, that could give us a little negative COG here on the 30. I still got 12 minutes for that. Yeah, wicks count. Wicks count. At least in my world, wicks tell me a lot because look at use Microsoft as an example. Those swipes, those liquidity swipes. I need to see those. Swoop. But as far as like a positive or negative COG, yes, you want the body, that candle to close above or below the high or the low wick of the previous candle. Yeah, Mark, right? And then I hear you, brother, right? And then like the cliche phrase in trading, like sometimes too much is too much, right? You go back to the simplicity of things, like demand supply. This thing's awesome here, and like another thing too is like, with this SPX play that might be wrong. What we're trying to do is attack this positive, this negative gamma node here. But what if we never get up here and that never, right? That never kind of like showcased itself. So we could still be, because we're trading against. I'm trading against a tick, trying to attack this positive, this negative gamma regime here. Okay. But what if that never happens, right? So there might be taking a loss of SPX, maybe a 1 or 2 points for that, right? Now the question is, if it does happen, what would the reward be if that works out? All right, but yeah, like that's another thing too. Is another thing that's supporting just the case right now of this, albeit we're below, daily VWAP. We've been speaking about this all morning. But one of the things for what it's worth, right? Just got this weekly view up in the level that we just talked about, inside bar, etc. We do have positive gamma node, that we're coming down into, but that's 5,900, right? So that's 8 points away. We could still potentially swipe lower, right? We could still potentially swipe lower. But to your point, yeah, right now, if you're short, the VWAP test was the ultimate way to go because now you're already TPing and protecting. Now, if this was like a screaming trend day, it's kind of trendy in a way, but in regard to like maybe adding to shorts, I would not want to see a positive gamma node down here, right? Because I would want momentum to go down and go down, go down. I can press negative COG down, negative COG down. But the fact that I get that positive gamma node and we're on this week's VWAP right now, and I got an inside bar, 2 bars now inside, the market's telling me like, okay, it's a little bit more basey right now until further notice. All right, that's why you just gotta stay in tune with it. If you're gonna be day trading, okay. What's the VIX doing, right? If the VIX can't conquer and get back up into its overnight high, we get one spike and we get a little bit lower on VIX. Well, that down VIX, market up a bit, we might be testing VWAP and maybe breaking VWAP, but VIX needs to smack lower on that. Cumulative tick up for what it's worth, above the zero line all day so far, but markets have been grinding lower. So it's kind of, you see how it's like just basing and mixed right now? So it's definitely like one of the, and again, if we swipe lower and that negative COG bar comes in 8 minutes on the 30-minute time frame, it's a negative COG, that's going to change things, right? I have to get out of those long calls that are counter trend anyways, and figure out what I want to do in terms of like a flip, right? But again, that positive gamma node down there is pretty, it provided SPX a nice little bounce from 5,900 up off that, right? Let me go here. I see your question, Mac Beast. Let me go to SPX. I think this is a bit more cleaner. Yeah, I got the notes on SPX here, but regardless about RG, I thought it was cleaner. Let me delete a couple things here. Okay, so you see 30-minute time frame here of SPYs, right? Just everything for today. And so, okay, can't open here, right? Wick high, right? Slim, slice down, close red bar here. Okay, open here, fall through lower. Here's a high, here's a low, right? And so you see how, and I'll make this more visible. That is the multiple high, multiple. Hold on. Let me finish one thought first. All right, now, ding ding. Well, this candle just closed, right? For example. Now the next candle that opens, okay, we don't know if this is going to be a mother bar yet because after that, okay, that's 30 minutes. First 30 minutes. Here goes a second 30 minutes, right? 30-minute time frame here. Okay, this one now opens, right? And it traded. It traded for that 30-minute time period, right? And you notice how this candle, we opened here, we had a high here, we had a low here, we had a close here, green bar, right? So is this candle completely inside of the previous 30-minute bar high and low? Yes or no? See how that candle is completely, the high and the low is inside of the wick low and the wick high. So this is an inside bar, okay? Inside bar, or or harami. This is what's called the mother bar, right? In Japanese, it means pregnant, right? Harami. So this is the mother bar high, the mother bar low, and this is the baby that's inside or within, right? Inside the previous bar high, bar low. Okay. Now we have another 30 minutes that we're in 5 minutes where this is the live candle as we speak, right? In 5 minutes, this is going to close. Okay. Now what's happening here? Even if we were to break above this candle bar high or this candle bar low, is this the mother bar? This is going to be the mother bar, right? That's still going to be the ultimate mother bar. Now, even if this bar does close inside of this, this is another mother bar, kind of like a mother within a mother here. This is the ultimate mother bar, high and low, highlighted in purple though. Okay, does that make sense? So like, this is also telling me or us that that a little bit more rangy condition at the moment. Okay, a little bit more rangy condition at the moment. All right, now what to help with this is, okay, we don't want to guess which way this is going to break. And, if I look at the overall higher time frames, we're up, right? I mean, we're up, we're close, we're kind of up. So this market could, poke out potentially, to the upside. Okay, just using, and I'm not saying that because I'm long right now. I'm just saying that because I'm looking at the higher time frames. All right, for this week, we got this breakaway gap. Yesterday, we had a ton of breakaway gaps close here. That was last Friday. And then Tuesday, beginning of this week, we had a gap up clear. And all yesterday was kind of like, okay, we had a gap up, came into supply, absorbed some of the supply, faded lower all day. And so, like, if I'm looking at this, right, which I am, these yellow. These yellow are weekly VWAPs. This is the one for this week, right? We're not done with this week yet. This is last week's VWAP, the week prior VWAP. Are we trading above or below all those weekly VWAPs? We're trading above all those weekly VWAPs. So if I'm looking at this right now, the only VWAP that we're not trading above at the moment as I'm speaking right now is daily VWAP. Okay, so if I got this week's VWAP trading above, yeah, we went a little bit below that, right? But I'm actually using this week's VWAP at my mother bar stop loss area level. Okay, right? See how I'm doing things? I'm trying to do things not what I think is going to happen or guess, but I'm putting it together based on all higher time frames. Okay, if I say okay, we're above this week's VWAP right now. We're above last week's VWAP. The prior week's VWAP. We're trading above. Okay, the only VWAP that we're not trading above right now is going to be this daily VWAP. So if we do reclaim and conquer this VWAP, we're going to be in alignment up. Okay. Does that make sense? Mr. Blue, there's supply over here. Yes, indeed. Okay. Last week we were buying puts because we came the first time back up into this level. Actually wanted more because I was hoping that it got up a bit more into the March high for some more liquidity. Okay, right? But that already, right? We rallied up. We hit that supply last week. Okay, we got some puts last week, right? I was screaming, I got parts, I got puts, man. Come on, it's time to go. Retail traders bought $4.1 billion of money right up here, right? It's probably going lower. Now we got a pullback. So this is the pullback, and now we got what? Gap up, fade up, and higher now, with some continuation. So this would be kind of like the second time back up into the supply. All right. Okay, what can we do to these SPX calls? Can't even TP them right now, right? Because of theta decay. Annoying. All right, so depending on your fill, it's about break even right now. So the theta gets annoying. So we need a pump on that. Yeah, that's why sometimes for trading futures is just you don't have to worry about theta as much. All right, 30-minute bar close. Again, inside bar, what have you. Now, there's a little bit of a wick here for what it's worth, but again, it's still battle testing that VWAP there. And with that little pump up there and premium's not really pumping that much, it's telling me a little something that there's maybe it's still early somewhat, but we need a little bit more juice and power for that. So this could still be activated here, of course. So just gotta be just gotta be patient. I know it's kind of annoying sometimes, right? Right. And that first candle, that first 5 minutes of this, 2 minutes of this opening candle on this 30, not giving us some good signs there for long. So shorts are good. I knew low on the 15. Even the 15's kind of like inside bar here. Probably not for long though, because I might be getting a breakdown. All right, there it goes. Right off that first 2 minute opening on that 30. Apple breaking down a bit. Fang heavy a little bit more here. Google, Snap. Tesla surprisingly holding up a little bit. Stronger than others. Yeah, and you see how Fang is breaking down outside of its right. Nobody gets stopped out. right? Buyer stopped out. SPX 04 about to get hit. When the condition is met, it's about to 60, 50 cents away. Out, right? Out. So it snapped, right? Snapped that. Snapped that. So the VWAP. So here's a counter trend trade. Stopped out. Probably more. I want to say like dumping. You haven't seen a dump yet. No, you probably did, John Martin. What is it? Today's range so far is what the high to low is 43 to 98. So is that 45 points? It's a 45 point SPX range so far. 11:30 Eastern. So that's really not. I mean, it's swiped. I just took a loss on SPX on it. Right, but still, I say still kind of rangy conditions. That's just what this is still kind of telling me at the moment. And somebody has said to get into. So yeah, we need. That's the thing, man. We needed to get a little bit more higher for that negative gex to it like just touched it and just could not do it. Could not do it. All right, but that's the thing, like getting right now that we're coming back down into the 5,900, there's a bit of a positive gamma node there. Again, still kind of rangy conditions, at least for so far. Like I said, I would, we could pull. This is what the low on day VWAP right here. Let me go to spies. So if you grab shorts off VWAP, right, that thing did give us a bounce. That's with futures, you don't have to worry about theta decay, but that was kind of annoying because if you look at SPX. We did get a little bit of a bounce there. But again, it's going against kind of trend, right? We're talking about all this, right? So we did get a little bit of a bounce there, right? And I went, let's go take some profit on SPX on this VWAP test. And then I think it was like 10, 15, 20, 30 cents in profit. But then when I got to it, it just said break even. And it just took a stop loss, right? But again, check this out. I mean, now this is right now down here is going to be where you're going to be taking profits on shorts, right? Buy to cover. Now, if it was a little bit more trendy, we might be getting something here, but we could try to look for like negative CFGs. All right, negative CFGs to see if we could try to make new low on day to maybe potentially fill that gap. All right, you could try to do that here. Like if I get long put on spies to try to press a little bit here. Because Fang kind of breaking down a bit too, right? I gotta hurry up though with this. And this is what Mark was saying. Like it's hard for me to get like bearish down in these positive gamma nodes. Oh, come on, man. Come on, come on. If I did like a 588, it says like a 40 delta right now. Long put, try to ride. Come on, the delay is killing me. All right, now the better entry for shorts up here at VWAP, right? All right, so if you get short here, don't get FOMO. And if anybody got that, good job. Don't get FOMO and go too crazy size here because we could correct a little bit here, especially with that SPX very close to that 5900 positive given up here. All right, so we can get in. What is it? 588 strike call. I'm sorry, put. All right, now I'm getting another account, and we could potentially put in a pullback order too on this. So I just got in. Let me get in my other account here. I'm already on spies. So SPX took a little bit of profit back away from me here from spies this morning. So I'll put bearish. Okay. Light because of that gamma node. And we could try to put limit orders up here so we get some fills, right? Because there's something called bar by bar that I mentioned here. Okay. Now this has another whole 19 minutes to close here. So I'm trying to work this, right? You do have a negative COG. That's the reason for entry below now this week's VWAP, and when I have this fade VWAP, everything right here, right? So we could put some limit orders. You can potentially try to put some limit orders up here to see if you get some more fills away from this positive gamma node. So if I go here, it just we probably rally back up in the VWAP. That was about 50 cents on these. So if we go halfway through that with some theta decay, you might be able to get something here for like maybe 75 cents. That'd be kind of like halfway back on the pullback of that move that we just clipped down on. And I'll throw another one in here. Like 55. All right, now these are limits to buy a put, right? So that in order for those to get filled, that would be what? Rally move up. All right, so took a stab at that SPX. Proved to be wrong right now. Proved obviously already out. So I gave back some profits on this short here and the bounce here, and took a shot, man. Took a shot at it. You gotta take a shot. And that was wrong. It's wrong. All right. the most annoying thing would be like if this thing just continues like chopping range, and then you get faded out on trying to press shorts. Yeah, John Martin, crazy how it barely touched that gamma node. So yeah, just couldn't. If we smacked above that VWAP right there, that it could have potentially went on a flow up. But we took a shot at it. Now notice what happened is here's the thing. Did I change? Now here's a key takeaway too, right? I took a loss. Duh. But remember, did I chase and buy the high into VWAP? Yes or no? Did I chase and buy the high into supply at VWAP? Or at least did I wait for a pullback? Okay, pullback. And even gave it a little bit of a chance there. If this was futures, you would have been able to book some more gains or gains on that bounce. Because this did go a little bit there, right? Just you could not, data decay. I'm a little bit too out of the money here. Right? Because I'm trying to attack this negative GEX. It didn't go through, it didn't follow through. Okay. But that reduced the loss a little bit there. And inevitably, of course, it got stopped out. Okay. But it could have been worse if I chased that up into that supply level control first time on VWAP. It could have been a bigger loser. And that's what I didn't want to do. So at least, they're going for like 4 something up here, right? 420 or something. And I'm like, no, we got to put a pullback in here. We got it for like, what, 330? Well, at least my fills, and then I just got stopped out. Yeah, like 175 or whatever it is. All right. That's a little bit of a give back. Was that a counter trend trade? Yes or no? Was that a counter trend trade? Yes or no? It was a counter trend trade. And I had, I was, admittedly so, going against daily VWAP. Okay. And I was trying to, you had a thesis to try to attack that negative GEX, negative gamma regime, and it didn't fall through. So instead it didn't work out, am I gonna cry? No, just get out, stop loss. If you're gonna continue to trade, keep working on it. Keep working on it. And just move on, right? All right, and yeah, I mean, you're literally dead smack looking at this VWAP right here, and it's been respecting it beautifully, like a charm here. On the downside here. Not to sound crazy here, but is this setup still kind of there? Yes or no? Ball sack right here. Stop, man. Chill. Yeah, Mark Wahlberg, I hear you, brother. I hear you. Looking at tomorrow's expo. But that gamma node right here, it's still there. That thesis could still be there. That's why I'm not pressing spies so hard right now, even albeit this down move here. All right. Getting very limit orders up there. So, now watch, this was going to be the one that, VWAP gives up. All right. So we'll see. I was only supposed to do YouTube for about an hour. Three hours later. The second kid. 60% of the time, it works every time. How hard is trading on a scale of 1 to 10? It depends on how much you complicate it on a scale of 1 to 10. Trying to be fancy. Trying to be fancy with using that trade that we just talked about in SPX, right? Trying to be fancy. Did just the liquidity map with using daily VWAP, albeit get the weekly VWAP here where we're trading above there, but for today, where this daily VWAP is holding like a champ, right? So trying to be fancy here, trying to say, okay, if this thing does go, go, but we were going against the grain here, right? So trying to be fancy with it, took a load of a loss, right? Whereas if you just said, okay, rally up into, level of control here, right? This is the level of control, supply hit at VWAP, get short, TP, back up again into, right, VWAP test, now you see sell short, TP. Okay? So if you're overcomplicating it if you're overcomplicating it, then it can be annoying, right? Don't overcomplicate it, whereas the simplicity of everything that's been going on here today, you just, VWAP test, lean in short, VWAP test, lean in short. Right? VWAP test, lean in short. All right, so I'm about to get equal to low here. Yeah, I like that. It's hard, like if you're smart, right? Trying to outsmart things, and it's just like no. But also, it's the at the end of the day too. It's inside day so far. It was still inside that mother bar, high and low on the 30-minute time frame. Even though we kind of snapped down a little bit, it's still inside that mother bar. We still did not make a new low here. What broker do I use? I use Thinkorswim for options, in stock, but mainly options. TradeStation for futures, and I got a stock portfolio on TradeStation as well. And I use a TradeOvate for futures. So TradeStation mainly futures and some stock. TradeOvate futures only. It's just I have a small account with TradeOvate. That's be crazy. Most of my futures money is in the TradeStation. And then I use, it's not the greatest, but I use Coinbase for crypto, and then I use Oanda for Forex. Just chop shit here, man. Chop. Told y'all chop. Let's see if I feel about this. Still leaning into that, I guess, here with the. I have to sell some credit. Tesla is creeping a little bit here. I'm already long this, floating down. For the record. Yeah, they change over time due to Theta, Vega, all the Greeks, and just like overall positioning as well. I do a lot better when markets move fast. This slow ground bullshit kills me. Is the 5900 SPX level going to give out? Yes or no? It says yesterday's low on futures. So if the 5900 SPX handle does give out, it could potentially swipe, fill the gap a little lower. Yesterday's low on futures is right here. And it should have been red bar, red bar, red bar, red bar, red bar lower. All morning inside bar here. So if we get this new low coming down, TP some of those puts. All right, we're getting it now. There we go. There's the bump. There's the bump. All right, there's the bump. Can I get a 160? Can I get a 160? Give me a 160. Can I get a 160? Can I get a 160? Can I get a 160? Get a 160. TP. Can I get a 180? Can I get a 180? Can I get a 180? Give me a 180. TP. Whoop, $2. Snag it. Can I get a 220? Can I get a 220? Missed this by a couple of ticks. All right. Let me grab this 220, 230-ish here. TP. Missed a limit order by a tick or two. All right. Y'all get some of that? No, I don't trade basically solely off the news. I'm aware of where the news is and what's happening, but I have to be a little careful with that sometimes, trading news, because sometimes it's manipulated. Here you go, Mark Wahlberg, my man, 4 to 11, SPX. Let's go. Still going here. Gonna lock in here, nice. Yeah, I missed the limit order, but all right, that just made SPX loss better. All right, lock in some here. All right, so I made one boo boo here for us this morning. Got fancy Xbox, and I got options dead, man, but it's all good. Kept it manageable. But nice rip. Nice rip. Now you can see a lot of these tickers swiping below, so that just happened quick, right? So a lot of these tickers are swiping below yesterday's low. There's some stuff down here. VIX spike. If you want to try to take a bounce along, it's a little tricky, but you got I keep the delta extremely low. Work the puts, ride the puts, work them, work the puts, work the puts, work the puts, and you could try to take a bounce. In terms of gamma node here, it's not giving us something crazy until like down here. I think there's a spread down here. But in regard to futures, we had this level, and I was like, okay, swipe, that's why I just mentioned this. Right below that yesterday's low, swipe. So if you want to try to do like a front side entry, bounce, you'd already have to like be in that right now, and even scaling out a little bit right now if you got that quick enough. All right, if anybody did snag a bounce somewhere down here, you get a little bit of a bounce out of here now. Usually with those, I like to set up like a conditional order. Did have a low 678 on daily retest. Yesterday low swipe. I had to escalate it quickly. Yeah, I was gonna mention something on gold. I still got my diagonal on this. Uh, I need more because I already high stamped the 11 handle on the diagonal. Gold swipe. That's an inside bar fakey breaky close. Gold might want to take off even more potentially, but be patient with it though because you're at a high. So pull back, mean revert. Yeah, this daily candle close is going to be pretty interesting. So keep an eye on that. So on that swipe lower, how much is it going to reclaim on that swipe? Right now we're on a fade on that fade on it right now. So you're getting your bounce if you took the bounce play on swipe. Yeah, so there's the breakdown here. Initial second point drop, second swing drop. And new low loss. That's what we've been talking about all morning here. Yeah, and you could pull a VWAP here, right? So actually, that's a good point. Um, there's two VWAPs that I could potentially pull here now off that. Number one, now we have a new low on day VWAP right here, fade. Okay. And and you could use this a negative COG below here to try to press, just like we kind of waited for like negative COG below. This was the previous fade. right? We pinched a little bit, then we found slam down, go, close below. This week's VWAP still below daily VWAP, below fade VWAP here. Ended up getting some more, just getting some puts here, right? And then, good. And then the other ones, we have this drop right here. And so this is the last kind of, right before that drop, this could be what's called handoff VWAP. Handoff VWAP. Right, and I'll make this red because that is going to be a new impulse, new lower low. Like usually I don't pull a, usually I won't pull a handoff VWAP unless it makes a higher high or higher low segment. Right, so the fact that this snapped and made that new lower low segment, you can now use that as a reference. Right, so essentially if I take, watch this, right, if I, damn, I did it way better today. Good, way better today. If I take this liquidity map, nice bounce. Eric, hey, did you get that? Did you get that? Nice bounce there. So like quadrant 3 and 2 are connected, for example, here. All right, let's just say like this is daily VWAP. So now, okay, so now this market makes a new high here, right? And so this would be what's called fade VWAP. Fade means opposite. All right, so opposite. So this would be like a fade VWAP here. And that's what you want. You want to see the impulse, the correction, and then if we can get a positive COG back above fade VWAP, you can pull that, right? And that could be an entry, right? Since the bullish side, right? But see how this made a new high? See how this made a new higher high? Well, you can pull, a new, this would be handoff VWAP. Okay, now obviously the bigger, stronger one is going to be the daily VWAP here, right? And then that just made another new high, higher high. Once it starts to correct a little bit, and then you can pull another fade VWAP. All right, but usually you can see, right? We're already trading above that new handoff VWAP. So usually you'll get like a pullback down below those little fade VWAPs or handoff VWAPs. Right, and we pull back, great, and pull back into demand. We have positive COG, then we pop another new high back above the previous fade VWAP, right? And you can pull another handoff VWAP, and then this just made a new high, so you can pull another fade. Like basically, all we're trying to do here, is get with a high probability, of success. Okay, here we have low, high, so it's like dink, 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 right? And then in the morning we had kind of like a little bit of a chop here, right? Chop here, right? And so that's what I was saying, like all morning, where it's like, okay, remember I was saying this is still, first impulse move here, great, correction. Then this is the first kind of leg, and that's this whole thing right here, right? And so this was just like kind of like inside basing here. I think inside basing here, right? And that's the thing, like this basing here, and you say like, whoa, is this an uptrend now? Because right, this was still all, and then I was like, this is still a corrective structure inside of this whole first segment move down. Right? And I even got a little fancy and took a small loss in regard to that little inside chop. And I already knew that, right? If I go to this SPX notes, it's literally says a counter trend trade, right? And then we just base, and then we just did another little segment lower, right? So daily VWAP, right? Daily VWAP is acting beautiful like a charm here, and we just snapped, right? And so when we make these new lows, I'll put these green, right? Once you make these new lows, I pull a fade VWAP to help know that, okay, when this is going to be starting to give up. Right? That's this fade VWAP right here. All right, once we slammed and officially started to get some closes below that daily VWAP plus the previous fade. I'm not pulling one right here because this is not a new low or anything like that, right? Does that make sense? All right, and yeah, it made a new high like right here. Okay, but remember, this is not the major. This is not the major. It's not like a major swing low and not a handoff VWAP. Right, handoff VWAP would be if we had a higher high, higher low sequence, and we pop new high for the day above daily VWAP. Right, does that make sense? So this is a new low on day VWAP here, and then it just got cooked here and here. Right, that's why I got short again. I'm like, okay, I'm wrong with this long, whatever, and it got short, and boom, got it right. I even missed a little order up here, but hopefully that makes sense, right? So now we just got a new low, right? Now we just got a new low, right? New low on day. So here's where you can pull the new low on day, fade VWAP, all right? And then because now, right, this is trading with the side of the trend, right? We just got a new low segment, right? And that happens so quick, right? Boom, 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 rip right back up. And that's usually what happens when you get these like big spikes like that. This would be the handoff VWAP. This is the handoff VWAP because this is going with the trend. And we're already trading above both of those right now. Right, so then it's just the same thing here now, right? Again, that's a supply pair, right? And then we got the previous fade VWAP, which we don't even really need anymore, but you can still use that as a reference. And we got this week's VWAP, and we got daily VWAP here. So if TP, right? So what's happening down here? These are all TP from shorts, and this could be what? Enter to what? Take a light bounce long counter trend that I had mentioned right there. From mean reverting counter trend. Y'all get it? I mean, yeah, it's already trading above it. It's right handoff VWAP right there. It's already trading above it, so it already violated. Because typically you want to see it like kind of come up and like respect that handoff VWAP and then fade lower. But that's the thing, y'all. Like this thing happened so quick and it picked up a ton of liquidity over here. Swipe below yesterday's low. Somebody even called just Amazon. Somebody called that out. Good job on that swipe low on Amazon. Right. So that's what happens. Like sometimes when you get these big like spikes, right? And sometimes it'll fade it fairly quickly. All right, so even if you pulled that fade VWAP, it's already violating it. Well, I'm sorry, handoff VWAP. It's already violating it. It's rebalancing up into its supply level right now up here. Quick rebalance. Boink. That was a pump. So if you're still going to be working on this, again, just the same thing here. But this is going to be take profit, take profit, buy it and balance. And now if we start to get back up here, if we start to continue to get up, mother bar finally broke, right? And with that liquidity. I'm not saying it's going to happen like this, but sometimes with that liquidity sweep like that, that might be one of the things that you needed there, right? Because that whole thing got faded pretty quickly. So stay on this. Great question. I don't even know what your name is. Dogtown. Great question here. Let me read it out. Are mean reverts more likely to happen when there are more dramatic moves compared to slow grinds? Absolutely. In most cases, yes. Especially when you're hitting a level like that was a daily low liquidity sweep. It's been doing that in a lot of tickers all day today, right? Now, two ways to take advantage of that is obviously already remain short and take profit very quickly down there. Okay, or the bounce trade, which you've been talking about all morning. But typically when things are moving like fast, that's where you get those mean reverts. But I would say more importantly, like what level or what is it doing? What is it coming into? Like what is it coming out of? Like we came out of like a inside base break range break. and we swiped down, and we came and swiped below yesterday's low. Okay, right below that. That's why I always tell y'all, right? So all we did today is play a liquidity game, right? Y'all see, you see how we just played the liquidity game today? Yesterday's high, gap up above that, right? Fade lower, base, swipe below yesterday's low, liquidity game, right back in the middle. All right, well, some in the middle, still holding some slightly down. Okay. In fact, if I could rewrite today, which I can't, forget this aggressive long call day trade on SPX, and this one would have just been a lot better to just. And it was gonna swipe like that, right? But grateful to flipped and got long put and grabbed some there, but could have did a lot more. But you would have almost been better. We would have been better if I could rewrite today's history. We could use this level down here in futures as well too, to work on that SPX long call for the negative gamma zone above. Right, if that makes sense. Right, and S&P's came right. Shout out Eric A. He came right to the second level. Daily swipe low. Classic. Could still be, you could try to take a stab at that again. Eric A probably had one of the better entries for that to get set up for that. I gotta hit that. I gotta go, man. I gotta hit the head. I'm only supposed to be about an hour and a half on YouTube. I don't even know how many hours I have in here right now. I don't even know. I'm probably going to attack the 59.50 anymore. The SPX. Definitely want to roll those down. There's some annoying. Just be careful with that. All right, folks. I gotta bang out of here right now. See some of you folks later into the focus classes. Right. If you want to take a quick last image here of OD, a sacked right there. Teabagged right there. It's my only index loss, at least for today. Right there. Sacked. But other than that, if you want to learn a little bit more about this, TradePhantoms.com. Yeah, Eric, I got that. Hit register. Name, email today. I think right to Thursday, the 29th. Yeah, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I can read that out. That's the agenda. Mr. Green, Mr. Black will kind of host a 90-minute kind of workshop, show you kind of what Phantom is all about. What you kind of see right here, right now, just live trading with y'all folks in here. Could have did a lot better. But hopefully navigated appropriately here. And I'll see some of y'all later. And then, God willing, tomorrow, Friday, let's tighten up and finish off the week for some day trading session with the Phantoms crew. And other than that, nothing else to say other than God bless, take care, trade safe, protect your gains for the morning. Don't do anything dumb and give it back. And I'll catch y'all when I catch y'all. God bless. Take care. Blew out.